Hello everyone, how are you today? Welcome to this lesson. Today is Tuesday, and if you haven't seen me already, then my name is Naomi. I'm an English teacher, and this lesson is part of a series of 4 lessons where we have been looking at how to get an amazing top band score in your IELTS writing section. So today we're going to be looking at the academic IELTS. Yesterday we were looking at task 1 in the academic IELTS. Today we're going to be looking at task 2 in the academic IELTS. Hi to everyone that's just joined. Thanks so much for joining today. I'm really happy that you could be here. My name is Naomi. I'm an English teacher and I'm really happy that you could be with me today. Today we're going to continue in this series of working on our written academic English. So let's just revise. What were we looking at tomorrow? Wow. What were we looking at yesterday? Yesterday we were looking at task 1 in the academic IELTS. And what were the main points? The main points were make sure you prepare really well. Make sure you use your time well to plan. Make sure you are using formal language, no informal language. What does that include? That includes no conjunctions or slang, so try to avoid don't or won't. Use the full words for that. But making sure we are using a wide range of vocabulary and correct grammar, including advanced structures, because this is the academic IELTS, isn't it? So without further ado, we're going to get into today's lesson, which I'm really excited to do with you today. Thanks so much for joining. I know it's really difficult, even in the times of coronavirus, so I'm glad that you can join me despite that. And it's actually a really great opportunity, isn't it, to have online lessons with teachers from all over the world. You can connect right from your living room, from your bedroom, wherever you are. If you're on the bus, you can connect, get some revision on your English so that you're always constantly learning to be super prepared for your IELTS exam. That's the reason why we're doing these lessons. We really want you to be super prepared for your IELTS exam. So we're just going over the basics. Anyone who's been in my lessons before, then you're joining the ongoing series. If you're new, that's absolutely fine. These are standalone lessons. You don't need to have seen the other lessons to understand what's going on. But if you want those higher marks, I would really recommend watching all 4 lessons in this series. Yeah, so IELTS is an international language testing system. There are 2 types. There's academic and there's general. You need to make sure you know which type you need to choose. Do your research. Depending on whether you're studying or training or getting a job, your needs will be slightly different. Now, if you're going to university in any of these 4 countries, there are also some other English-speaking countries, then you probably need to take the academic IELTS. So for the academic IELTS, how should you prepare? Well, you need to know the test format. We looked at this yesterday as well, but it is so important. Yeah. So you start with the listening, 30 minutes. What comes next? Reading for 60 minutes. And then to finish, we have the writing. not to finish, sorry, this is just before speaking. You've finished with your speaking. Writing is what we're looking at today. Task 1 is 1/3 of your mark. Task 2 is 2/3. So task 2 is really worth a lot more marks, and you will be spending more time on task 2. Yeah, you will be spending approximately 40 minutes on task 2. That's a good time. So, how am I going to get those top marks in task 2? What do we think? If anybody is, Montserrat is asking about writing task 1. We covered that in yesterday's lesson, Montserrat. You can see that for free on the Merseyside Publishing IELTS page. If you just head over there, then there'll be loads of tips on writing task 1. And for now, we're just going to get into the details of how to get top marks in task 2. So, what do I actually have to do in task 2? You will be given a topic to write about. In task 1 yesterday, we were looking at the format. You are given a graph or a table, some kind of statistics that you need to describe and summarize. That's task 1. Task 2, you will be given a specific topic to write about. It's a more conventional essay. You should write in an academic or semi-formal style. Like we were saying in task 1 as well, it's also an academic or semi-formal style. The general IELTS is a bit different. You might be asked to write in a range of different styles, but the clue is in the name. Academic IELTS, use academic formal writing. You must write a minimum of 250 words. If you write less, you will be penalised. What does penalised mean? Penalised, you will be penalised. This just means you will get marks taken off. I would say maximum 350 words. You do not get penalised for writing too much, but don't write more than 350 words. The examiners get bored, they won't read everything, and it's really not a good habit. Okay, you should respond directly to the topic. This is really important. Don't write something that is a bit related, but not totally related. If my topic is education for preschool age children, for preschoolers, this is aged not 4 years, not 4 years. If this is my topic, will I talk about education for primary school age children or secondary school age children? No. Talk directly about the topic. You might want to use one point of view about other types of education to help your argument, but only if you can directly relate it to what you're talking about. Okay? Thanks so much for everyone who's just joining now. It's great to have you with us. So you should respond directly to the topic. Now, you should consider relevant issues. My little question mark man is getting in the way here. Let's move him to the top. There we go. You should consider relevant issues and weigh up arguments. Just like we were saying here. Is talking about primary school education relevant? Maybe, yes. You decide, you make that judgment. If it is relevant, you can mention it, but don't write a whole paragraph about it. You don't want to go off on a tangent. Don't go off on a tangent. Means talk about unrelated topics. Don't go off on a tangent. Good, so you want to weigh up the different arguments for the topic that you're given. This is quite similar to task 2 in general IELTS. They're actually quite similar, but in academic IELTS, you want to really show off your academic formal writing. And similarly to task 2 general IELTS, we want to show that we have considered lots of different points of view. Yeah? So this is the main things that we have to do. We're given one topic to write about. We're writing in an academic style, minimum 250 words, respond directly to the topic, and consider lots of different arguments and points of view. Happy? It's easy. You're going to do so well in this exam. So well. I'm just helping you to really remember and internalize, remember so deeply the structure and what you have to do, because when you're in that pressured exam situation, it's easy to forget little things or to make silly mistakes. But if you've really gone over the exam format so many times, you've reminded yourself what you want to do lots of times, then it makes it so much easier on the day. Okay, what will I be marked on? Task achievement, coherence and cohesion, vocabulary, and grammar. I'm not going to go into too much detail because we did talk about this on the other lessons. So if you want to hear a more developed explanation on this, then you can look at my 3 other lessons on the Mpub Ielts page. Great. So what not to do? Talked about this before as well. Don't copy. Don't copy from someone else or from the question. You will actually be penalised. This is what I found out yesterday, okay? You will actually have marks taken off if you use words from, if you copy the question directly. Yeah, so if you have, this is my rule actually. I'm going to give you a secret into my rule. My rule is don't copy more than 6 words in a row. Don't copy more than 6 words in a row, because sometimes you see a question and of course you need to use some of the words in that question. You're writing about that topic, it's naturally going to happen. Some of the words will come up. You might even need to use a full phrase, but more than 6 words in a row becomes copying. That becomes plagiarism. That is actually a technical length as well. That's what they taught us in university. Don't copy more than 6 words in a row. Good. Don't go off topic. Already talked about this. Don't stick to, let's just get rid of this navigator on the side. Don't stick to simple structures and limited use of tenses. This is the academic IELTS. You really need to show off all the wide range of grammar and vocabulary that you can do. So let's give an example. Imagine we're talking about education for young learners again. Should I say, I'm going to give you an example of a good and bad sentence here. Education, if I can spell right, education for preschoolers, oh my goodness, schoolers should be paid for by the government as it is their responsibility to educate future generations. This is a really great sentence. Education for preschoolers should be paid for by the government as it is their responsibility to educate future generations. We have two clauses, two parts of the sentence. We have a modal verb, should. We have a phrasal verb, paid for. We have some good linking words, as, and it's on topic. Now I'm just going to give an example of something that uses more simple structures and not as many tenses. Let's say so this one is okay, but am I going to get a really high band score? No, I'm not really going to get a high band score. Education is better if the government pays. The government should look after our children. These sentences are really short. I need a linking word to join them together. And this is a very simple verb. I want to show that I can use modal verbs correctly and that I can link two ideas together. Okay. We have a very nice question from Imran here. Let's just get this question up. Imran says, if they give a topic which I don't have the vast idea, then how do I write? And what is the method that I should write? Thanks for your question, Imran. That's such a good question. So if you get a topic that you don't know anything about, or you know very little about, don't worry. You can actually use your own personal experiences. You can use kind of material in the question paraphrased in your own words, and you don't need to already have a strong opinion on a topic to be able to write about it. Let's think of an example, because I think it's just always great to talk about this with examples. So let's say my topic is sport for people with disabilities. Okay, I personally know nothing about sport. I'm not really sporty and I don't really have a strong opinion on sport. But I have to imagine that I am in somebody else's position. Okay, find anything in the question that you have an opinion about or knowledge on. You can bring in examples from your personal life, and you can also make up examples. Okay, they are not going to check if you have actually had experience in sport for people with disabilities, but this is an exam, right? That they want to test your ability to write informal English. So you can invent some things. You can talk about imaginary experiences, and relate them to the topic. Yeah? These are just some tips. I would not worry if it's a topic that you don't know that much about. Just try to think of other creative ways of approaching the topic using knowledge that you have, and you can make things up. I wouldn't make up facts and figures like statistics, but I would maybe make up personal experiences or things like that. This is also a great reason why it's good to go in super prepared. My next series on Merseyside Publishing, on Mpub Ielts, will actually be about the different topics that often come up on IELTS. So if you stick around and watch those sessions, then hopefully they will be really helpful for this question, Imran. Thank you for that. Good. So we're back on what not to do. Sorry, this looks negative, but I'm just trying to help you avoid the most common errors. Right? Don't use informal language. This is an academic exam. Don't use contractions or slang. Things like gonna, coulda, don't. Avoid emotive language. This is emotional language, like cruel, awful, filthy, ugly. Another one, try not to use too many idioms. What is an idiom? An idiom is a phrase that is very common in a certain language, which doesn't have a direct translated meaning. It means something different to the specific words in that phrase. I will give you an example. A piece of cake. If something is a piece of cake, what does it mean? It means something is easy. Another one, to pull someone's leg. What does to pull someone's leg mean? It means to make a joke on someone. So idioms are really, really great, but not good for this part of your exam. For the written part of your academic exam, avoid using idioms. You can use them in the spoken part of your exam, and that is going to really impress your examiner and sound amazing. Let's put that here. Use them in the spoken part, but in the written part, we don't usually use these in written English, and especially not in written academic English. Great. We've looked at what not to do. Let's look at what to do. More positive. As always, any questions you have, you can leave them in the comments, and I am happy to answer your questions. Hope everybody is having a lovely morning learning English. So, what to do? You should, if anybody has been to my previous lessons, they will know how much I love to plan. You should plan your time well. You have a total of 40 minutes. Then you should pay attention to all issues in the essay question. Read the topic and read the question really carefully so that you don't miss anything. A really good idea is when you read the topic, you have the question in front of you. As you're reading, you can already paraphrase. So if you have education for preschoolers, by preschoolers you can write 0 to 4 years, children. Some synonyms. You can already start paraphrasing so that you make sure you understand every part of the question. Next one. Write about the issues rather than the general topic. Write about the issues rather than the general topic. What do I mean by that? I mean, write about like the problems, solutions, opinions. You do not want to just list everything you know about education. Maybe you're a teacher or you're an expert in that specific topic. That's really great. That can help you so much. But don't just list your knowledge. You want to talk about the specific issues. There will always be like a controversial question or problem that you are trying to address, you're trying to analyze. So you're getting your analyzing caps on. Then plan your supporting points. So supporting points are like your secondary points. You might have one main argument or two main arguments throughout your whole essay, but it's a really great idea to have supporting points. Maybe, just using the same example again, maybe I'm talking about education for preschoolers, for very young learners, and my main argument is that the government should pay because it's their responsibility to provide education for everybody. I could say in a supporting point that, for example, if we leave education to the responsibility of the family, not all families are the same, and some might not care about their children or do as good a job as other families. They're just little points that support my main points. Plan them. Don't wait until last minute. Include them in your plan. Simple one, write over 250 words. You don't want to lose marks for a silly thing like that. When you're practicing doing your past papers, practice counting the words. It's boring, it sounds annoying, but you have to do it. Just practice. Yeah, it's a good idea. Write 4 to 5 paragraphs. That's including your introduction and your conclusion. If we write more than that, they'll be too short or your whole essay will be too long. If I write less than that, 2 to 3 paragraphs, including my conclusion and introduction, I'm not really organising my ideas well enough. I would suggest 4 to 5 paragraphs. We will look at structure in more detail in a second. Have one central topic in each paragraph. So I'm not talking about lots and lots and lots of different points in each paragraph. Use a range of linking words. We will look at more in a second. And use different grammar tenses. So make sure you're using things like conditionals, perfect tenses, passive, past, future, etc. This is if you really want to get those high marks, you need to be using advanced structures. Yeah, so you want to not just be sticking to present simple or some of those simple structures. Practice your conditionals, practice your passive, practice your perfect tense. Similarly, pay attention to word order. This often makes students lose marks because they haven't checked, or they simply maybe haven't had the time to revise word order. This is a really important part of grammar, and it can be a bit difficult in English. So make sure you revise your word order. If you think that would be helpful, maybe we will do a lesson on that one day. Avoid common grammar errors. So here are some of the most common grammar errors. Articles. What are articles? Articles are the, an. Good morning to anyone who's just joining now. Welcome to the class. Just talking about articles. Articles in themselves are not really difficult in English. It's knowing when to use them. It's knowing when to use them. There are quite a lot of different rules and patterns about when we use articles and when we don't. So make sure you revise that and check at the end. Plural and uncountable nouns. This is also something it's really worth revising, and word order, we've just talked about that. Okay, Ghaznabi is saying, Naomi, can you clarify this section more deeply in the plan your supporting points with examples? Yes, that is a very good point. So let's go to this point, plan your supporting points. So we were just talking about education for preschoolers and whether the government or the family should pay. So my main argument is that it is the government's responsibility to provide free, high-quality education for all. Sorry if this is a bit small for you. I'm actually just going to get rid of some of these. There we go. It should be a little bit bigger for you now. So that's my main argument. It's the government's responsibility to provide free, high-quality education for all. A supporting point could be families are not all in the same socio-economic position. That means not all families basically have the same amount of money, which is true. Families are not all in the same socioeconomic position, so they, let's say, so it wouldn't, I'm not going to say wouldn't because it's a contraction, isn't it? It's an academic essay. So I'd say would not, always the full words. So it would not be fair to let these differences present themselves in the education of our young people. So when I'm planning, I might actually just have little bullet points, right? I might not want to write my full sentence, but I need to kind of know the topic of each. So I might just write socioeconomic situation of families different. That might be in my plan. Depends how you like to plan. If you want to write the full sentence, that's great. That is what I would do. Okay, I hope that has helped, Ghaznavi. And we're just going to move on to the next part of the presentation. Any more questions that you have? Feel free to put them in the comments. We're now going to look at the structure I should use. So I have here, slide only, introduction, paragraphs, 2 to 3 paragraphs, and conclusion. Let's make it really clear. We're going to have paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and then paragraph 3, optional. Great. Now let's look in more detail about how to form each of these parts of your essay. We're going to look first at an example past paper, and then we will look at each of the sections of your essay in response to that past paper. I hope this is helpful for you. Any questions? If you can't see anything, just let me know. So this is straight from the IELTS website. You can find past papers on the IELTS website, but also online. If you search it, there are loads of past papers out there. Best way to revise, I think. So do loads of past papers. Good. Write about the following topic. International tourism has brought enormous benefit to many places. At the same time, there is concern about its impact on local inhabitants and the environment. Do the disadvantages of international tourism outweigh the advantages? Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. Okay, we're just going to highlight the main points. If I can work out how to do that, let's have a look. Let's just let's see if I can get a pen here somewhere. I'm just going to do some I don't think I can get a pen. I've not worked out how anyway. So let's just think of the main points here. Okay, so what is the overall topic? Overall topic is international tourism. Yeah, that's the overall topic. Let's make it even bigger. There we go. That's a topic. What is the issue? What is the issue here? The issue is international tourism can have a negative impact on locals and the environment. What do I have to do? Here's the question. Do the disadvantages of international tourism outweigh the advantages? I have to analyse both points of view on the advantages and disadvantages of international tourism. Do I have a strong opinion on this? I think I'm probably going to say that the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, as an example. I'll say that, but I want to really, really show the examiner that I have considered all of the disadvantages. And I already know in my head, at the end of the essay, I'm going to suggest something that can maybe help to reduce these disadvantages so that we can keep the advantages of international tourism, and maybe I can present a solution to make it more sustainable and better for everybody. So, how are we going to answer this? Let's look at the next slide. We've read the question, identified the main issues. What do I need to do first? Introduction. So, exactly, Gulam is saying we need a thesis statement. We do. In the introduction, we need a brief summary and thesis statement. So, number one, write a sentence summarising the topic and some background information. Number two, tell the reader what you're going to be writing about. That is your thesis statement. You're telling them what your argument is. So we have an example at the bottom, but we're just going to quickly write an introduction for the question we just looked at. The advantages and disadvantages of international tourism. So, sentence summarising the topic. Let's say, in the 21st century, international tourism has become a part of everyday life for thousands of people, despite, let's say, indispensable. We're going to say indispensable. See, I'm relying on my spell check there, which you shouldn't do. Part of everyday life for thousands of people, despite damage. I'm using synonyms. Despite the damage it causes daily to people from tourist destinations and environments there. This is my summary. I'm saying we're talking about international tourism. It's got benefits, people love it, but there are some disadvantages. Then my thesis statement. I need to already show the examiner that I know what I will write about. So I've said I'm gonna argue that there are more advantages than disadvantages. So we're gonna put despite these serious disadvantages, try to use a synonym. Negatives. I believe. Well, let's try not to use I. We can say it's. You know what I can say, which is great in academic writing. I will argue that international tourism has an overwhelmingly positive impact on society, and with certain measures in place can thrive without making as much damage. Okay, now of course these sentences are very advanced. They use a lot of linking words, advanced grammar. Don't be scared. I'm an English teacher, so I mean, I hope these sentences are good because, you know, I've trained in this language, I've worked hard, but there is no reason why you can't write these sentences as well. Just stick to these rules. One sentence summarizing the topic, then one sentence telling the reader what your argument is. That's what you have to do, and you need to just make sure you're using the correct language in order to do that. Okay, that's our introduction. We also have another example here, which I'm just going to read to you. This example, let's move this a bit. This example is about blood sports. Blood sports are sports which where animals are killed. Okay, so again, it's a controversial topic. And this is the introduction, the example introduction that we have. It says here, despite the fact that killing animals for sport is popular in modern society, it remains a contentious issue. Contentious, what does that mean? Controversial. Controversial issue. I believe, thesis statement, that blood sports are cruel and uncivilized, and so should be banned as soon as possible. Great, you have a summary, you have a thesis. Let's read our introduction again. In the 21st century, international tourism has become an indispensable part of everyday life for thousands of people. I might even say millions of people. I say millions, yeah, that's right. Despite the damage it causes daily to people from tourist destinations and environments there. Despite these serious negatives, I will argue that international tourism has an overwhelmingly positive impact on society, and with certain measures in place, can thrive, means do well, without making as much damage. That's our introduction. What comes next? Our paragraphs. Great. So, what do I need to do in my paragraph? Similarly to my introduction, I want to start with a topic sentence. So, I want to start by outlining the main topic. Then we'll have supporting sentences, concluding sentence, and this is optional, but recommended, a sentence leading on to the next paragraph. We're not going to write a whole paragraph for our example here. Maybe we'll write a few points. But we have one example here. Wow, it's actually related to my first example, which was English for preschoolers, kindergarten age. Supporters of teaching English at kindergarten, that is, when a child is aged between 2 to 5, believe that early exposure will produce more competent speakers. Parents who are keen to give their child a head start in an ever more competitive world are persuaded by this idea. They think that if English is combined with play, it will be easily absorbed and not seem like study at all. However, there are strong arguments against teaching English at kindergarten. Great, I have my opening sentence. Supporters of teaching English at kindergarten believe this. This is like my opening argument. I'm just introducing one argument. Some people believe this. Then I'm doing a supporting argument, talking about a different group of people related. This might also convince parents. Why would they think that? I'm using an example. They think that if English is combined with play, it will be easily absorbed. This is kind of like my conclusion, and then I have a sentence leading into the next paragraph. However, contrasting idea, there are strong arguments against teaching English at kindergarten. Remember, we want to cover all the different sides to this argument, not just one point of view, but the various different points of view. So I'm telling my reader, okay, in the next paragraph, I will look at the other point of view. Okay. So this is my paragraphs. Good, we're doing great for time. What comes after my second paragraph? Got my introduction, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, maybe paragraph 3, not 100% necessary. Then I have the conclusion. In my conclusion, I want to summarize and emphasize. I want to open with a concluding phrase. What does that mean, a concluding phrase? This is phrases like, if anyone has an example, they can put it in the comments. That would be really helpful. A concluding phrase, phrases like, in conclusion. Any other phrases you can think of to conclude? Finally, a really good one, ultimately. I love this one. Always use that, ultimately. So you've opened with a concluding phrase. You're saying to the reader, right, this is the end. You've got to the end of my essay, and I'm going to give you my summary and convince you of my argument now. So you're going to basically say your thesis statement again. You've got your thesis statement here. In the second part of your introduction, literally take that, rephrase it, use different words, put it at the beginning of your conclusion. Yeah, restate your thesis statement in different words. Then to end, you want to use a concluding sentence. Here is where it's a really good idea to give your personal hopes or fears about the future. Yeah, your personal hopes or fears about the future. You can also offer a solution or offer a solution. I really like doing that. Just as I was saying here, in my thesis, I said with certain measures in place, tourism can thrive and can maybe not damage societies as much as it does now. I'm offering a solution. That's a really good idea. So let's look at our example here. I'm going to try and make it as big as I can because I know that it's quite small on your screen. There we go. If you're watching on a phone, it might be a bit small for you, but I'm just going to read it out. To conclude, we're opening with a concluding statement, a concluding phrase. Really, really good. Based on the previously presented evidence, it is clear that kindergarten is a time to acquire social skills, motor skills, and a deeper understanding of a child's own language. English can come later when a child is more capable of focused learning and when the teaching is likely to be better. In an age where the endless pursuit of qualifications and accomplishments seems the norm, I hope that we will learn, at least in kindergarten, to let kids be kids. That's a really nice finishing sentence. I am bringing in a hope for the future. I want to end on a positive note, and I want to show that I've thought about the consequences. I can offer a solution, I can give my hopes, maybe even my fears. Yeah, so that is how I would end my essay. I really hope this lesson's been useful for you. I'm just going to show one more question that I had. So Imran said, can we use proverbs a lot, like in our written language? Okay, so maybe in your first language, you use proverbs a lot. That would be a really lovely thing to bring into your essay. Just make sure that you write about these proverbs in context, that you say who the proverb is written by or what is the historical context. Yeah, because you want to always show that you have evidence. It's also probably a good idea not to use too many. Maybe use one as a nice anecdote to bring in your own culture. That would be really nice. You just want to maybe not use more than one or two, because you want to make sure that you're using lots of evidence from different sources. Yeah, I hope that's been helpful, Imran. If anyone else has any questions, please just leave them in the comments. It has been really lovely teaching you in this series to help you with your written English for your IELTS exam. Please do keep your eyes on this page. My next series will be about common topics that you get in your IELTS exam. We'll be looking at mostly vocabulary to use in those topics. And yeah, hope this has been really helpful, and I hope that you all have a really lovely day. Thank you for watching. Bye.